Rachel Reeves' first major intervention as Chancellor was to set out a black hole in the public finances she said she didn't know about, and we urgently needed to. This is how she accounted for the budgetary pressures. A lot of numbers, I'll just pick the big ones. Pay, £11.6 billion. Most of that because Rachel Reeves is accepting the recommendations of a 5.5% roughly pay award across the public sector. £6.4 billion for the asylum and legal migration system. Most of that hotel bills for people whose claims aren't being processed. Pick one more, health, £1.5 billion. A lot of that is the cost of industrial action the pay award is supposed to avoid. Once you take off some accounting measures the Treasury does here in blue, you're left with nearly £22 billion Rachel Reeves says has to be found this year to make the sums add up. Well, what's she going to do about it? Well, she says she's making some cuts immediately and next year. This is this year's cuts. £3 billion in savings, every Chancellor says that. Here's the big unexpected policy decision. £1.4 billion saved from cutting winter fuel payments to pensioners. They didn't hear about that. 10 million people won't get it. It wasn't mentioned in the election. We knew Rwanda was going. Adult social care's in the long grass now, and some road and rail. No Stonehenge tunnel. We'll add all this up this year. £5.5 billion, still leaves £16.4 billion to find. How's she going to do it? Well, we know it's going to be difficult because this is the state of the public finances, what's being spent and what's coming in before the black hole was found. And look, there's a deficit between what is being brought in and what's being spent already of £87 billion. That's borrowed to cover. There's £16.4 billion to find on top of that. Now, Rachel Reeves hasn't been given us any detail on what she's going to do in the budget, but tax rises are definitely on the table. Problem for Rachel Reeves is she has painted herself into a corner by ruling out income taxes, VAT and corporation tax going up. They account for 70% of tax-raising powers, so it's left to perhaps some capital taxes, perhaps pension reform. We'll find out in October what she's going to do. A quick word finally on pay. Why accept that above-inflation uplift to public sector pay? It's because of this, the gap between public sector pay, the red line, and private sector. It was growing, it was becoming less attractive to work in the public sector. So to improve recruitment and retention, pay is going up. Now, the row about how Rachel Reeves arrived at these numbers will continue, but it's very hard to argue that the inheritance in the public finances is anything but dire.